I work reception at a hostel in Byron Bay, and last month, this American couple walks in for check-in, all smiles, fresh off the plane. The guy's wearing boat shoes and a polo shirt tucked into khaki shorts. His girlfriend's got on white sneakers that probably cost more than my rent. They're standing there waiting while I'm sorting their booking, and this bloke walks past them heading out. Completely barefoot, carrying a six-pack of VB. Not beach casual barefoot. Properly barefoot on the pavement in the middle of town. The American guy does a double take, watches him leave, then leans over the desk and whispers like he's reporting a crime. "Excuse me, is that person okay? Should we be concerned?" I had to bite my tongue. "Yeah, mate, he's fine. Just Australian." The girlfriend looked horrified. "But there's broken glass out there, and hot concrete and germs." She said germs like she was describing a war crime. I tried explaining it's actually quite common here, that some people just prefer it, that our footpaths are relatively clean. She wasn't having it. In America, that's a sign of serious mental distress or homelessness. We need to appreciate cultural differences, but this seems dangerous. She spent the next 10 minutes explaining American podiatry standards while her boyfriend nodded along like she was delivering a TED Talk. Apparently in Texas, going barefoot anywhere outside your own shower is basically asking for tetanus and social ostracism later that week. Same couple's checking out, and I see them through the window. She's walking to their rental car completely barefoot, thongs dangling from her hand, having the time of her life. He's still in his boat shoes, sweating buckets, looking miserable. Sometimes Australia just wins. The thing about Americans visiting Australia is they arrive thinking it'll be like a sunnier version of home with weird accents. Then they realize we've built an entire society on principles that would make their homeowners association have a collective breakdown. We don't tip. We abbreviate everything. We've somehow convinced ourselves that wearing shoes is optional in a shopping center. Here's how that usually plays out. I'm a barista at a cafe in Fremantle, and this American bloke comes in one morning. Orders a flat white, pays with his card. The total's $18. He stands there at the machine, staring at the screen, and then looks up at me all confused. There's no tip option. Tell him, yeah, that's normal. Tips aren't really a thing here. He laughs like I'm joking. No, seriously, where do I add gratuity? 15% would be $2.70. I can do 20 if the service was exceptional. I'm just standing there thinking, mate. You ordered a coffee and I made it. This isn't the Ritz. We don't do tipping here. We pay our staff actual wages. He looks personally offended. But how do you incentivize excellent service? In the States, tipping creates a meritocracy where the best servers earn the most. It's basic economics. Then he pulls out his phone and starts showing me articles about American service culture like, I'm the one who's got it backwards. My hospitality management professor said, tipping ensures quality. Without it, what's stopping you from just being mediocre? The pure confidence while calling my job mediocre to my face was actually impressive. My brother runs a tour company in Tasmania, and last year he's driving a group up to Cradle Mountain. Mostly Americans. They stop at this little roadhouse for lunch, and afterwards one of the women tries to hand him a $20 note. That's for you. You've been wonderful. He says thanks, but he can't accept it. It's all included in the tour price. She insists. In America, we tip our guides. It's customary. I'd feel terrible not showing my appreciation. Explains again that Australian wages are higher. The tour costs already covers his pay, and taking tips would actually be awkward. She gets this look like he's rejected her friendship. Are you sure? Because in Colorado, our rafting guide last summer lived off tips. His base wage was like $3 an hour. We gave him $50 for a 2-hour trip. Brother just nods politely while she's explaining how American restaurant workers would literally starve without tips. Then she adds, I really think you should reconsider your policy. Studies show that service quality increases by 37% in tip-based economies. She made that number up, I'm absolutely certain. When he still refused, she left the 20 on his dashboard anyway and walked off like, she'd done a great charity. My sister works front desk at a hotel in Melbourne, and she's dealing with this American family checking in. Dad's filling out the forms while the kids are climbing on the lobby furniture. Mom walks up and asks where the ice machine is. My sister tells her we don't have ice machines, but she can get ice from the bar or ring down, and someone will bring some up. The mom looks confused. Every hotel in America has an ice machine on every floor. It's standard. My sister's trying to explain that it's just not common here, that most rooms have mini fridges with ice trays if needed. The mom cuts her off. But what if I need ice at 2 in the morning? In the States, I can just walk down the hall. This seems like a significant oversight in your hospitality model. Then she starts talking about how Holiday Inn revolutionized hotel convenience in 1952 by introducing ice machines and how Australia is clearly behind the times. I've stayed in hotels in 43 states, and they all had ice machines. Are you sure you're not just at a budget property? My sister works at a 5-star hotel where rooms go for $400 a night. The mom spent another 5 minutes explaining American hotel standards before finally accepting that she'd have to actually ask a human being for ice like some kind of medieval peasant. I work at a pub in Darwin, and this American couple comes in on a Tuesday night. They order meals and drinks, have a nice time, bill comes to $68. The guy pays, and then they just sit there. After 10 minutes, I go over to check if everything's all right. He smiles and says they're just waiting. For your change? I ask. He looks confused. No, for you to bring the check back with our receipt. I tell him the receipt's in his hand. I gave it to him with the card machine. He shakes his head. In America, you bring the check, we leave payment, then you come back with the receipt and change in a little folder. That's when we add the tip. It's a whole process. His wife nods along. It's about giving the customer time to calculate appropriate gratuity without pressure. Running the card immediately is quite aggressive. I ran their payment like we do for every single customer, and apparently I've committed some American social violence. The guy pulls out his phone and shows me a photo of a bill presenter. See this leather folder? We put the card in there, you take it away, process it, bring it back. Then we have privacy to discuss the tip amount. Standard protocol. He's genuinely trying to educate me on how to do my job while sitting in my pub in Darwin. I just smiled and said, we'll keep doing it our way, but thanks for the input. My mate works at a seafood restaurant on the Gold Coast, and she's serving this table of Americans. They ordered the fish and chips, the prawns, the calamari, the whole lot. When she brings the food out, one of them stops her. Excuse me, where's the manager? She asks if there's a problem. He points at the plates. We ordered entrees, but you've brought us full meals. These portions are enormous. In America, entrees are appetizers, smaller plates you have before the main course. This is clearly an error. My mate tries to explain that in Australia, entree means the main course, that this is what they ordered. He's not having it. No, see, entree comes from the French word meaning entrance, as in the dish that enters before the meal. What you're describing is called the entree-sized main, which is a contradiction in terms. His wife jumps in. We've been to Paris 3 times, and the entrees there are definitely appetizers. Australia must be using the term incorrectly. They're sitting there with $60 worth of seafood going cold while explaining French etymology to an Australian waitress. The guy eventually flags down another server to confirm that yes. Australian restaurants have apparently been getting it wrong for decades. I'm a chef at a bistro in Adelaide, and we get this American couple for Sunday lunch. They order the chicken schnitzel, and when I bring it out, properly done with chips and salad, the bloke looks devastated. This is enormous. In the States, a normal portion of chicken is about 4 ounces, maybe 6 if you're really hungry. This is easily a pound. I tell him that's just how we serve schnitzels here. It's a full meal. He shakes his head. But portion control is essential for managing national obesity rates. America learned this the hard way. Your serving sizes are probably contributing to serious health issues. His partner's nodding along. The American Heart Association recommends portions no larger than your palm. This is the size of a dinner plate. How is anyone supposed to finish this without exceeding their daily caloric intake? Then she asks if we have a to-go box because they can't possibly eat all this in one sitting. I'm thinking, mate, you're at a pub on a Sunday. People put away 2 of these after a morning surf. but she's already doing math on her phone. According to MyFitnessPal, this single plate has approximately 1,800 calories, which is my entire daily allowance. In America, we'd split this between 3 people. They ate about a quarter of it and left the rest, both looking slightly traumatized by Australian portion sizes. My cousin manages a cafe in Perth, and she's got this American regular who comes in every morning. Nice enough bloke, but he's got opinions. One day he orders his usual cappuccino, and when she brings it out, examines it like she served him tap water in a wine glass. This is a 6-ounce cup. In Seattle, a small cappuccino is 12 ounces minimum, usually 16. What you've given me is technically a macchiato by American standards? She explains that's just how cappuccinos are served here, proper Italian style. He pulls out his phone. According to Starbucks global standards, a tall beverage is 12 ounces. You're serving me half of a standard small coffee and charging $5 for it. That's $10 per standard serve, which is economically inefficient. He's genuinely trying to explain coffee economics to a woman who's been making coffee for 15 years. In America, we understand that customers want value. More beverage for your money? These European-sized cups might work in Italy, but this is a modern economy. Then he starts explaining how Starbucks became successful by supersizing everything, and maybe Australian cafes should learn from that. My cousin just smiled and asked if he wanted a large A. He said no thanks. He'd already had his caffeine limit for the day. The irony was completely lost on him. I work at a Vietnamese restaurant in Brisbane, and this American family comes in. They're looking at the menu, and the daughter asks what banquet means. I explain it's a set menu where we bring out multiple dishes for the table to share. The mother looks confused. So it's family style? Why not just call it that? I tell her banquets, just the term we use. She's shaking her head. In America, family style means large portions served on platters that you pass around. Banquet implies a formal event with speeches and assigned seating. This is misleading advertising. Her husband agrees. We expected a private function room based on the menu description. This is just normal table service with sharing plates, and the daughter chimes in. At Olive Garden, family style means everyone gets unlimited breadsticks and salad first. Then you choose your own individual entree. This system, where everyone eats from the same plate, seems unhygienic. I'm biting my tongue because explaining that Olive Garden isn't the global standard for Italian dining felt like a losing battle. The mom eventually asks if they can order individual meals instead because Americans value personal space at the dinner table. They sat there with separate plates while 3 others tables around them were happily sharing banquets, all looking very confused about why that was so difficult. I'm a driver for a tour bus company based in Cairns, and I'm doing the Great Barrier Reef trip. Got this American couple on board, and we're heading to the marina when the guy raises his hand like we're in primary school. Excuse me? How long until we reach the reef? I tell him about 45 minutes to the boat, then another hour on the water. He looks shocked. An hour? But it's called the Great Barrier Reef. Barrier implies it's right off the coast, like a barrier protecting the shore. In Florida, our coral reefs are maximum 10 minutes by boat. Why would you call it a barrier if it's an hour away? His wife's Googling on her phone? In America, barrier islands are typically within swimming distance of the mainland. This is more accurately described as an offshore reef system. I'm trying to explain that it's actually the world's largest reef system stretching over 2,000 kilometers, but they're too busy debating naming conventions. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration has very specific criteria for barrier classification. This seems like false advertising. The guy then starts explaining how American geography terms are standardized by federal agencies, and maybe Australia should adopt similar precision. We're literally going to one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, and he's filing a mental complaint about nomenclature. My girlfriend works at a hire car company at Sydney Airport, and she's processing this American family's rental. She's explaining the car, the insurance, all the standard stuff. Then mentions they'll be driving on the left side of the road. The father interrupts her. Actually, We did our research. In America, studies show that driving on the right reduces accidents by keeping your dominant hand on the wheel. Your system is objectively less safe. She's trying to explain that most of the world drives on the left, that Aussies grow up with it, so it's perfectly safe. He's not listening. But humans are naturally right-handed. Right-hand traffic flow is biomechanically optimal. This was proven by a Harvard traffic study in 1978. His wife adds, "We're from California, where we have the safest highways in the world. Maybe Australia should consider switching." My girlfriend's just staring at them because the confidence to suggest an entire country change its traffic system based on one American study is absolutely wild. The guy keeps going. "I've driven in 48 states without incident. This will be my first time driving." Wrong, and I'm concerned about the adjustment period. Gave them the car keys and watched them spend 20 minutes figuring out which side the steering wheel was on. I work at a pharmacy in Hobart, and this American woman comes in asking for Band-Aids. I point her to the bandages aisle. She looks where I'm pointing and says, "No, I need Band-Aids. The adhesive strips for small cuts." I tell her that's what bandages are. She shakes her head. Band-Aid is the brand name. Bandages are the large cloth wraps you put on sprains. In America, everyone knows this. I'm trying to explain that in Australia we call them bandages or plasters. That Band-Aid is just one brand. She's getting frustrated. But Band-Aid is a proprietary term that's become genericized through common usage. Like Kleenex or Q-tips. You can't just call them something else, because that causes consumer confusion. Then she pulls out her phone to show me the Band-Aid website. See? It clearly says Band-Aid brand adhesive bandages. You're technically correct, but colloquially wrong. In America, if I asked for bandages and you brought me these little strips, I'd think you misunderstood. I finally just handed her a box of Band-Aids specifically, and she looked vindicated. Like she'd won a cultural battle in a Tasmanian pharmacy. My brother's a flight attendant on domestic routes, and he's working a Brisbane to Darwin flight. This American bloke in business class asks for a serviette. My brother brings him a napkin. The guy looks at it and says, "No, I asked for a serviette." My brother's confused because that's literally what he brought. The passenger size. In proper English, a serviette is a cloth napkin used in fine dining. This is a paper napkin. The distinction is important for hygiene and etiquette purposes. My brother tries to explain that in Australia, serviette just means napkin, cloth, or paper. The guy launches into this explanation. The word comes from the French meaning to serve. In American establishments with proper table service, serviettes are always cloth. Paper versions are called napkins. Your airline might want to update its terminology to match international standards. He's on a 2-hour domestic flight getting upset about napkin semantics. Then he adds, "I've flown first class on United, Delta, and American Airlines. They all understand the difference. Maybe Qantas needs better training." My brother just smiled and brought him 3 more paper serviettes because sometimes you've got to pick your battles. At 30,000 feet, last week those same Americans from the hostel came back for another visit. The girlfriend walked in barefoot, board shorts on, hadn't brushed her hair in what looked like days. She barely recognized me. Oh my God, Australia changed my life. I threw away all my shoes except my running trainers. I haven't worn makeup in 3 weeks. My Instagram engagement is down 40%, but I've never felt more free. Her boyfriend was still in boat shoes, but he'd stopped tucking in his shirt, which for Americans is basically going full bohemian. They're staying another month and she's already talking about applying for a working holiday visa. I've learned that Americans aren't wrong for being confused. They're just incredibly confident that their way is the default setting for human civilization. We don't tip because we decided workers deserve actual wages. We go barefoot because shoes are annoying and the weather's nice. We shorten every word because life's too short to say afternoon when Arvo works fine. Americans visit expecting logic and finding chaos. But then half of them never leave, because apparently chaos is actually quite relaxing once you stop trying to optimize it. If you've got stories about confused Americans in Australia, leave them below because I know I've barely scratched the surface on this one.